Hi there, this is Ben, AD7N, Alpha Delta 7 Norway, and I am here tonight to give a little bit of information about the check window in N1MM. Hopefully this is something that can give you some assistance to make you a more efficient and better contester. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a little bit of this today. Here I am in N1MM, and I'm going to go to Window, Check. So this is the window check window right here. Sometimes it's very handy because it can make sure that you have the right call sign in there. So for example, if I wanted to see WB0N, if there's a check mark there, it's one that check is figured out is accurate. It's a good one that you can use. If it's not there, it doesn't necessarily recognize it yet. That's okay, but you know you don't necessarily have a known call sign. So what does this mean to have a known call sign? Well, that's where this check window comes into play. So this check window has a few nice elements to it. It's got the log. Basically, that's the log that you've already been logging to. It's got it's also got in here. Let me clear this out. It's also got the master super check partial file. So in our N1MM, we can go and we can download the latest one for that, and it's got over 50,000 call signs of radio operators who have submitted and been in previous contents. You'll probably notice that when you submit a Cabrillo file from N1MM, it will often ask if you want to send that to SuperCheck Partial as well. If you've done that, you're definitely in the file. But this is going to be a historical list of other people who have been in there. You can also use telnet. So this section is for telnet, which, by the way, I'm connected here on telnet to the dxca.nc7j.com server here, so that I can get my spots. And then back again here in the check window, you can also get information from your call history. Now, I do have a couple of other things that I'm hiding right now. The show exchange pane, or the exchange pane, and then there's the reverse lookup pane. So those are a couple of additional fields that you can see. I can add those in, take those out, whichever ones I want to do. Totally great. For now, I really think I just want to show these four: the log master, the telnet, and the call history. So the call history, this one is going to provide any call signs that you have loaded in with your call history file. So if I open up my contest that I've been operating and I go to the associated files, you can see there's a call history file name that you can specify a call history file. And so any call signs that are in that call history file, they're going to show up right here, and they'll be provided as, hey, this might be your call sign. So what's that for? So that's really what this is for. So when I'm entering in a call sign, that I have not necessarily worked yet, but it might be in there, then it's going to give me some options here. So notice I typed in K7C. So here I can see that I've got quite a few options that are based on K7C. Some of them will have some missing prefixes and some missing suffixes. I can also potentially not even put in a number, and then see that I can see some of the options that are there where I'm missing some of those. And this is going to be very helpful when you're dealing with some of the longer call signs, things like that. So let's say I had JH3AGV. If I just had JHAGV, look at that. I can get JH3AGV, see that he's there. I actually had this exact thing happen to me a couple times in the ARRL International DX contest this last weekend, where a couple of QRP operators, hard to get their call sign sometimes. I got most of it, but I didn't get their number. This is how I got their number. And so one of the nice things is all I have to do now, I can see this call, I see this number here. I could come back up in here, click in here, type in the number, or maybe I had a 2, right? So now I have to click up in here, backspace, type in a 3, or the easier way to do it, because my cursor is probably here, is to yank it. So to yank it, it's an Alt Y. So that's what this is. That's where this is super helpful. I'm going to Alt Y, yank it in, and there I have the call sign correct, JH3AGV. So this is very useful when you're trying to run some stations, and you don't have all of the information that you need. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to run a sample contest for a few minutes and see if we can see where this comes into play. So maybe I'll try a couple of little differences here to show what's going on. So to do this, I am using the Morse runner part of N1MM. So this, if you're not aware of this, this is very nice, where you can use Morse runner. Morse runner is a great application that you can use for practicing contesting. It simulates a couple of contests and makes it so you can really get some good time practicing. If you want to be a high quality contester, you're gonna spend some time in here in your off time when you're not actually in contests. And I try to get in as often as I can and put in a little practice time. So to get there, I went to the config and to open those configs, I come to other and I check Morse runner mode. So if you have not done this yet, it's going to download Morse runner and install that into your application, into your N1MM. So I've already done this, so I'm going to say OK. Notice I've got this CQWPX up here that I'm running, and I'm going to go ahead and run this for a little bit. I'm going to turn it down a little bit so I don't have quite as much. I'm not getting as inundated, so it'll be a little easier to pull some of these call signs out, because right now I'm not as interested in trying to pull all the call signs out as far as doing that. But let's see what we can do to try to complete some call signs. So I'm going to run this for about 5 minutes and see what we can do to find a couple examples where the check window is going to help me out. Hit F1 to call CQ to get it started. So I'm going to go ahead and run him and look for a longer call sign. Oops. LR. Sometimes the Morse runner is a little funky to play with, but we'll try this. So notice that came up over here. That came up over on the right side, so that means that it came up out of the call history file. And I missed the call because I was paying more attention to what I was doing. So let me call CQ and get some more in here. Notice it came up in all three: the telnet, the master, and the call history. So let's say I had there we go. Now it looks like we could have accidentally mistaken it with the DK6RR. This one didn't have it in the master list. It didn't have it in the call history file. There we can see his call sign right there. I'm going to yank it. There's your zero beating. Yeah, there's a good example of why not to zero beat. Call off frequency. Okay, so the Morse runner stopped. So there was a couple of examples in there where we had some of that information. It was a little bit useful. Another section I want to show you is down in here. I'm going to turn back on the reverse lookup. So with that, I'm going to open up a CW ops and show you what the reverse lookup section is for. So the reverse lookup section is actually more for where you've input into other fields. So instead of inputting into this particular, into the call field, maybe I heard somebody's exchange. So if maybe someone heard my exchange 3540 in CWT, notice that it has pulled up my call sign. So if I have that exchange, I can jump over here, back into the input field for the call sign, and I can yank 87N right out of the reverse lookup. So that's another useful way to do it. Another thing might be, maybe I want to look up anyone named Chaz, because I know we've got a few of those, right? So there we can see some Chaz. Or maybe, how about Amanda? So we've only got a couple of those. We can yank KY4GS. Now I can hit the space to complete it out, and now we've got the rest of that. So that's how you can actually use the reverse lookup section to find out the call sign of the actual person based on the information that's being passed. So that's another use of this particular check window. One thing that I also wanted to highlight here is this. If I wanted to yank one of these, notice the order it's going in. Okay, so maybe I don't want it to start here. So it went from master to telnet to call history to reverse lookup. That's great, but maybe that's not what I want. Maybe I want it to go out of the call history first, because the call history, for example, in the CWT, the call history is a pretty set number of people, right? We've got almost 3,800 people now approaching that have CW ops numbers, and so we have a very finite group of people. So maybe I want to show this first, so I can actually come in here and for my change my yank configuration. So in here you can change the order. So let's say I wanted this to, when I do this, I want to look at the call history first, and then let's look at our log, then let's look at the master super check partial, then let's look at telnet, and finally we'll look at reverse call lookup. So I'm just changing that a little bit. So it's going to go to call history first. So now we should see it go to call history, log, and then back into master. So I'm going to do this again. Let's clear this out, and let's look up let's look up Amanda again just for fun. We're gonna yank Amanda out. There we go. But let's go through the order now. If I hit Alt Y, there we go. We went into the call history file first. Now it went to the master. Had there been a value in the check log, then it also, or excuse me, in my log, had I previously logged or maybe on a different band, then I would have been able to have that listed there, and I would have pulled that in first. So some of the useful pieces of this. Why is this useful? Well, it's useful because you can make it so that you can get a call first try. That's probably the biggest thing, right? When we're running these contests, we don't want to have to do repeats. The more repeats you do, the slower your rate is, and so you're not going to do as well. So by doing this, you can see their call sign as you're typing it in, right? So if I clear this out and do KY4G, I can potentially see those in there. Same thing if you're doing some of these longer call signs, right? So you can see it coming in as you're typing it in. You see it taking place and being put into that field, into those fields, and so it kind of can help you as you're typing it in to visualize it and maybe see the rest of the call, especially if you see it in multiple fields, because if it's in multiple fields, then it's going to make it a lot easier. Whereas, see right there, I know that that's going to be the right call sign because I can see it coming up in multiple places. So that makes it super nice to see all of those and do that. It helps it see you. So if again you have put in the wrong number for someone's call sign, then you can know quickly to fix that, and with Alt Y you can quickly move to get that taken care of. So it's all about speed, precision, efficiency, and to get those things in there. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. Definitely want to thank Max NG7M. He's the one who's been teaching me a lot of these things. I am definitely no expert, but as I learn more, I like to share more. Just kind of how I am, and so I want to thank him for doing this. I know that Jay N4GO also did a little example of this, and it was great to watch his version of this as well. I want to get a little bit more deeper into the covers, give some of the information of what you can do with this and some of the options that you have in here. Oh, and one other thing that I wanted to show in here as well, or a couple of things. One, you can sort so that you can favor the end character. So if you get the back parts of the call, then it'll favor those. Another thing that's nice is to set your telnet call sign quality. So what's your threshold? So I can come in here, and this is going to be something to help make it so that the information that comes into here is into your telnet one is more accurate. Unfortunately, with my call sign, I know AA3B, I see TA3B a lot, or for my call sign, I get TD7N. Unfortunately, sometimes they're not as accurate. So if I want to make sure that I have accurate call signs coming into the telnet section here of the check window, then I want to up this number a little bit. That way it's going to make sure that there's, at least in this scenario, at least 3 times that call sign has been spotted, whether that's by a skimmer, the reverse beacon network, or a person that's spotting you. Then that'll make it a lot nicer. That's why it's kind of nice. One of the things that Max actually has taught me is to, as I work somebody, of course, in the appropriate contests when spotting is allowed, to go ahead and spot that person as well. That helps. That's going to help them with this threshold, so that when that comes into other people's check window, it's going to be more accurate. So again, thanks for spending a little bit of time here today. Hopefully I've given you a little bit of information that can help you out in your endeavors to have fun playing around in contests and to be as fast as you can be. So with that, 7-3, and we'll see you the next time. Hopefully in the next contest. See ya.